UFC Fight Night 169 on ESPN Plus 27, Norfolk Benavidez versus Figueiredo takes place next weekend, and I'm going to do a full card prediction video, starting at the early prelims, ending with the main event, going through every single fight on the card, giving my prediction and breakdown for every single one, starting with the early prelims opener of Sean Brady versus Ismail Nurdiev. I'm looking forward to this fight. The fact that this one is a prelim opener makes zero sense to me. You've got Sean Brady, 11-0, undefeated, young up-and-comer, 27 years of age. Still got his career in front of him. Big guy for the weight class, nice and strong, stocky build. Last beat Court McGee, and he did it quite convincingly as well, which is something that Diego Lima can't say, which is something that Robert Whittaker can't say he did. Is it a different Court McGee? Yes. But I still think like it was an amazing performance from Sean Brady. He did it quite well, to be honest with you. He didn't have to go to a split decision like a lot of guys do when they face off against Court McGee. Great performance from Sean Brady. I liked it very much. 11-0 now. And then you've got, on the other hand, I believe they call him the Armenian Wonder Boy, Ismail Nurdiev. I have been high on this guy from the very beginning. He came into the UFC and he had a little bit of a disappointing performance against Chance Recounter, which I didn't like very well. He kind of got exposed in his wrestling a little bit. He threw too many kicks when he came in, I feel. You know? Like, you can get away with throwing kicks when you don't have the best of takedown defense against lower competition. But when you get to the UFC, people learn how to catch. You know? Got a lot of guys here that know how to catch kicks. And it's a tough one when you're blasting that many kicks against a guy who knows how to wrestle, because he's going to make you pay for it. And he came in against Yabaha Dazada with a little bit more tentative. Didn't blast the kicks so loose. Set them up with things. No naked kicks, as Dwayne Ludwig would say. Came back. Looked phenomenal. I think I might go with... I'm going to go with Ismail Nurdiev here. I believe in him. I think he's going to win. The Austrian Wonder Boy. That's what they fucking call him. I like Sean Brady. It was a good performance against Court McGee. However, I do see Court McGee fade him right now, and you really shouldn't be taking him to a decision at all right now, period, to be honest with you. Great fighter, but, you know, I was looking for something more out of the Court McGee fight. Don't get me wrong, it was a good decision, but I don't know. I'm going with Ismail Nurdiev. I just got a belief in him. I think he's learned from his debut in the UFC. Or not his debut, his second fight in the UFC. So far, 2-1, looking to be 3-1 against Sean Brady. Usually I root for the undefeated fighter, but Ismail Nurdiev's 23 years old. He's going to make the mistakes of not throwing kicks with enough setups and getting caught and taken down. He will make those mistakes. But I feel like when you're 23, that's to be expected, and I feel like he's going to bounce back and learn from them. I'm going with Ismail Nurdiev. I spent so much time on that. Let's move on. Elon Cruz versus Spike Carlile. His name is Spike. So, but he doesn't even have a picture on the UFC website, but I can very much assure you that he's going to be white trash. If I'm honest with you, let me look him up. Oh, yes, he's white trash. Irish-looking motherfucker. The Alpha Ginger, he calls himself. Very interesting. 24 gold medals. 24 gold medals? Alright, I'm learning a bit about this guy on the fly right now, but I'm still... I'll go with Spike Carlile, I'll be honest with you. I like the way he looks. And that's literally the only reason. You've got no evidence to take with Elon Cruz and Spike Carlile. Elon Cruz came through the Contender Series, had a good finish there. I just feel like Carlile is going to win. He looks like Sheamus from the WWE, and who was one of my favourite characters when I was a kid. So, I'm going with Spike Carlile. He could be a superstar, you know. Jesus Christ, look at this guy, Spike Carlile. Holy shit, he's got the name. He's got the nickname of the Alpha Ginger, 8-1. With a dope spinning backfist KO of a Matthew Calhoun. I'm going with Spike Carlile. I like him, man. And he's named after a place in the UK as well. So, I'm rooting for Spike Carlile. And that's no... I don't know why I can't say his name. Spike Carlile. There you go. Yeah, I love him. Jordan Griffin versus TJ Brown. I'm going with Jordan Griffin. A little bit more seasoned. He's the bigger guy at the weight class as well. TJ Brown coming off the Contender Series, but not a guy that was hot topic coming off the Contender Series, you know. Usually when you see a guy come off the Contender Series, a lot of people think, well, you know, I don't know, like he's an undefeated guy, he's got a great record, but this guy's 14-6, not really much of anything going on for himself, kind of just got a little bit of a layup into the UFC. I'm going to go with Jordan Griffin. I think he gets the job done. Let's start speeding through some of these fucking predictions, because I'm spending a lot of time on some negative, pointless fights. Marcin Tybura versus Sergey Spivak. Here we go. Interesting one. I'm going with Spivak. 10-1, young kid, coming up. Tybura has been on a downward spiral since 2 years ago, I believe, ever since he lost to Derek Lewis, if I remember correctly. I mean, Marcin Tybura is having a rough go of things, 34 years age. losing a bunch of fights. He's lost 4 out of his last 5, and his only win was against Stefan Struve, which is not difficult whatsoever if you know what you're doing in any way, shape, or form. Or you're good at groin shots, as Ben Rothwell showed us. But yeah, I don't know, man. He's lost some good guys, to be fair to him, in Verdum, Lewis, Augusto Sakai, Shamil Abdurakhimov, but I just feel like it's 1 KO too many on his record. That makes 4 very recently as well. I'm going to go with Sergey Spivak, 10-1, getting a job done, coming off a big win against Tybura as well. Republic of Moldova. It's good to have little niche guys in the UFC from certain places that you wouldn't expect, because they bring a very niche fan base with them, as Darko Stojic, the GOAT himself, has displayed to us often and annoyingly, to be honest with you. But Sergey Spivak is going to get the job done, more athletic. He's on a focused path right now, 10-1. Came off the loss to Walter Harris in his debut, which is not the fucking easiest debut to take on short notice either. You know, you're giving someone Walter Harris on their debut, you're not giving him a fun time. Bounces back against Taito Ivasa, gets a submission in the second round. Great performance, looked good against him. I'm going to go with Sergey Spivak beating Marcin Tybura, but Marcin Tybura's still got the skills. He hasn't got the sauce, you know? Sergey Spivak does. The polar bear. I like it. I'm going with Sergey Spivak, and I'll say by finish in the second round. Moving on. Brendan Allen versus Tom Breese. This one intrigues me because Tom Breese has been out for injury for a very long time. A very long time. And I can't even remember the last time he fought, to be honest with you. 2019? No, he didn't even fight. 2018. May 2018. That is a long time. He beat Daniel Kelly. I don't know, man. He lost to Sean Strickland. He beat Keita Nakamura. These are somewhat okay names, but then again, he's a huge man for the middleweight division as well. 11-1. Still young, 28 years of age, from Birmingham. He's a Bramtown bum. I am going to go with Brendan Allen here. I know I should be siding with Tom Breese because he is English, but I like the momentum of Brendan Allen, and I like the big win that he got against Kevin Holland, because as much as you see a submission against Kevin Holland and you think to yourself, what does that mean? It's Kevin Holland. It's something that Thiago Santos couldn't do, you know? Even he took Kevin Holland to decision, and that was on short notice. Like, people beat Kevin Holland, or people lose to Kevin Holland. None of them look good doing it whatsoever. Brendan Allen went out there, had a back-and-forth fight, and managed to find himself the finish. That speaks wonders to me. I'm going to go with Brendan Allen. I'm picking against my countryman again, much like I'm doing for Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. Like a traitor that I am, I should be thrown in the sea. With rocks around my ankles, I understand. UK fans, you can come at me all you want. Brendan Allen is going to win this fight. I feel like he's going to get the submission in the second round. Repeat of what happened last time against Kevin Holland. I don't know how good the ground game of Tom Breese is, especially when you've got a young athletic guy like Brendan Allen looking to take you there. I think Brendan Allen's going to find it in him. 24 years old, longer reach advantage, even though he's a shorter man, which seems to work out well for the shorter guys. I'm going with Brendan Allen. I think he's going to improve to 14-3. 14-3. And I think we're going to be looking for a big opponent next. They're probably just going to match him up with another guy on a hot streak, because that seems to be what they're doing at middleweight. Carl Roberson versus... Who is he fighting? Carl Roberson versus Makhmudov. You've got Darren Stewart versus Marvin Vettori. You've got Jotko, who isn't really a young up-and-comer, versus Eric Anders. They're just cancelling off guys right now, so I wouldn't be surprised if after Brendan Allen wins, they put him against another guy going on the streak. Moving on with the fight card. Up to Gabriel Silva versus Kyler Phillips. This might be my longest fucking video. This is taking ages. These are good fights, to be fair. Finally, they sorted out the order of the card. And Gabriel Silva versus Kyler Phillips is on the prelims. But what took its place on the main card? Nothing. Nothing took its place on the main card. Okay, cool. Anyway... that's a cool fight. Both guys are young, talented. I don't know anymore with these guys coming into the UFC. I don't understand. I've just kind of been hit in the face one too many times with a fucking mop, to be honest with you. Like I'm some kind of mug. The UFC is treating us like, oh, Jesus Christ. Whatever. Fuck it, man. I'm going to go with Kyler Phillips. He's younger. His only loss on his record was by split decision that was somewhat controversial. Came into the UFC, just getting his shot right now. He didn't even come off the Contender Series, I don't believe. Lost on the Ultimate Fighter finale. That's how he got his shot here. Not really too big of a fan of this fight, but they're both guys with good records. Gabriel Silva as well, which is Eric Silva's younger Cousin, I believe. This guy was on Dana White's Looking for a Fight not too long ago. Managed to get himself a big finish there. Bounces back but loses to Ray Borg in his debut. But I don't mind that. Ray Borg's tough test to have at new debut. I'll go with Gabriel Silva, actually. I'll go with Gabriel Silva. He's fought tougher opponents. Team Nogueira, that's a great gym. I'm going with Gabriel Silva getting a win. Moving on. Let's breeze past this shithole. Luis Pena versus Alex Muñoz takes the prelim headliner. They are really pushing Luis Pena as hard as they fucking can, to be honest with you, because Jesus Christ, they are putting so much weight behind him, moving him into these positions on the cards just because he has a cool looking beard and afro. He shaves his head and face, he loses all momentum. I just want him to know that. Don't ever do that to us, Luis Pena. Jesus Christ. He trains at AKA. It's a good gym. I know a lot of people had a problem with the Matt Frivola decision. I didn't have a problem with it whatsoever. I did at the time. At the time, I thought that Luis Pena had a very good performance, and I thought that he managed to do enough to get the win. Looking back on it, I thought, you know what, Matt Frivola won this shit. Good performance from Matt Frivola. Luis Pena, Alex Muñoz, I don't know, man. I'm going to go with Luis Pena. These fights are so weird to predict. I feel like on cards, recently, this year, we've never seen more people making their debuts. And that can either be a good thing in terms of that there's going to be more talent in the future, or it can be a bad thing in terms of, hey, we're kind of just overcrowding our market. But I am going to go with Luis Pena here. I feel like he's young enough to start learning from some of these losses, and he should be learning from some of these losses. He's got a good gym at AKA. I just feel like Luis Pena's got this one in the bag. Taller, way rangier. You know the attributes that Luis Pena brings. I prefer him at lightweight over featherweight as well. I feel like he was cutting himself a little bit too much. Not in like a self-harming way, just like cutting weight. Sorry, not cutting himself. I feel like he was cutting weight a little bit too much to make it to featherweight. It wasn't healthy. He missed weight. Stay at lightweight. Adjust yourself. Make a nice little home of it. Beat Alex Muñoz. I think he's going to get the job done by decision because he doesn't finish anyone, perhaps. Grant Dawson is not fighting Chaz Skelly. I'm going to have to do a little bit of outsourcing to find out the name of the opponent that he's taking on. But either way, regardless of the name of the opponent, he's going to win. We've got Grant Dawson versus... Oh my god, this guy's unfortunate looking. Darek Minner at UFC Norfolk. I mean, yeah. Grant Dawson wins. Good job. Yep. Grant Dawson, he's been having a problem with the whole drug situation. I think he's innocent. The more people that it happens to, the more innocent I believe them. You know, like, it's happening to guys like Sean O'Malley and people like this. And then once the numbers start adding up and there's more and more of cases of it going around. When it was just John Jones, people were like, bullshit, he's cheating, everyone knows it. Rightfully so. But now that about 50 people are having all the same problem, and they're all being found innocent, including Nate Diaz, which no one had a problem with because I guess people are just blindly on Nate Diaz's team. Either way, they didn't have a problem with it then. So now Nate Diaz has kind of set a precedent of, oh, no matter what happens with these little USADA things, it is in fact bullshit. Somehow. Nate Diaz has that power in him. He just has the people immediately side with him. People could still assume that Nate Diaz was cheating. But you know, I guess USADA came back, cleared it up. No one called bullshit, so we're good. Nate Diaz set an example for everyone else. Thank you, Nate Diaz. You may have saved the rest of the roster from getting slandered by the MMA community. I'm going to go with Grant Dawson, of course. I think he's very, very important guy to have at featherweight right now. He's good on the microphone. If he wins this one, he'll be 3-0 in the UFC, I believe. I would much rather have seen him fight Chaz Skelly because it was a much bigger name. However, I don't mind. Grant Dawson's on the card. Good job. Let's see him get a win. And to be honest with you, it's an easier fight than Chaz Skelly. So it all worked out for Grant Dawson in reality. Megan Anderson versus Norma Dumont. Megan Anderson. Moving on. There's literally nothing to describe. They're scraping the bottom of the barrel of girls that aren't even in her fucking weight class. And they're bringing them into the UFC. This Norma Dumont girl is a bantamweight. She's 4-0. And this is your opportunity in the UFC. Come to our featherweight division that has 5 members. Stupidity. Megan Anderson should win. But to be honest, she probably won't. She probably won't win. That's the funniest part about all of this. She's trash. She's just bigger than everyone else in fighting bantamweights. But you know what? Megan Anderson will get the job done. However, I really don't give a fuck about the women's featherweights, to be honest with you. I really don't give a fuck. Ion Kutateladze. Here we go. Here we go. This is what we've been waiting for. The entire card. The most interesting fight. Ion Kutateladze versus Magomed Ankalaev was supposed to be headlining the prelims. Thank God they moved it onto the main card where it belongs to be in the feature fight. I think this should be co-main event over Felicia Spencer, but you know what? They're trying to be real diverse. So, you know, we have to sit through two shitty women's featherweight fights on the main card right next to each other. Kutateladze versus Ankalaev. Great fight. I think people are going to be surprised by my prediction. I think people are going to be thinking I'm going to go with Ankalaev. I'm going to go with Kutateladze, to be honest with you guys. I originally went with Kutateladze to beat Khalil Roundtree. I've been picking Kutateladze a lot during his fights. He's very young. He's got a lot to learn. People think that Ankalaev's going to just completely ragdoll him because Kutateladze's a striker. Heads up, what just happened in the Khalil Roundtree fight. Ion Kutateladze's a phenomenal Sambo practitioner. I think Ion Kutateladze's going to pull out the win. He's much smaller, but he seems to be addressing some issues in terms of cardio. And I don't know how much that is proven, but he does seem to be doing it because he doesn't seem to fear going all out for the finish. I mean, he was putting a pressure on Khalil Roundtree in that first round that this guy, you got to have confidence in your cardio if you're putting that kind of pressure on someone. He did not stop coming forward. He was relentless. And to be honest with you guys, I don't rate Magomed Ankalaev's wins. I really don't. I mean, he lost to Paul Craig, if this is the same guy that I'm thinking of right now. I believe he lost to Paul Craig. He was winning the entire fight. So it's basically a win, but he got submitted. Recently, he's beaten Marcin Pracino, which I don't really respect a win over. He beat Kutateladze by decision. Then he beat Dawson. But these are all a lot of guys where we don't know where they stack up in the division. Dawson was seen as the next big hype train because he's muscly and he's athletic looking and terrifying. He looks a bit like KSI, but just on all the steroids in the world. But we don't know where his level is. You beat Dequan Townsend, who everyone has beaten. And people have beaten him twice within this month. That's how bad Dequan Townsend is. And that's what made people get behind him in the UFC. I don't know how good he is. I don't know how good the other opponents... The best opponent that Magomed Ankalaev has is Khalid Sanabria, which is a pretty decent win. Has some good names, good wins in the division. Lost to Shamil Gamzatov last. Beat Sam Alvey again, not the best win in the world, to be honest with you. I am going to go with Ion Kutateladze, pulling off the upset. I think he's going to crack Magomed Ankalaev coming in. I think there's going to be some kind of invincibility complex for Magomed Ankalaev. I think he's going to wade forward like he can just bully Kutateladze. He's not going to bully Kutateladze, and I think if there's a man who can draw the emotion out of Ankalaev and force him into a firefight that he doesn't want to be in, I think Kutateladze is going to be able to find a shot on his chin and put him out cold in the first round. Kutateladze, first round TKO. I don't give a fuck. I'm picking Kutateladze to win. I've got a feeling about this one. Moving on, up the card. Felicia Spencer versus Zarin Ferreira dos Santos. Again, just some woman, 6-3. They just found chilling on the streets. They said, hey, what you doing on the streets? She said, oh, I'm just chilling. They said, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm an MMA fighter. MMA fighter? You're in with Felicia Spencer in the co-main event of our fight night this weekend. That's basically what they said. That's how it works. No idea why this one's earned co-main event status. It makes zero sense. Felicia Spencer's probably going to win because she's somewhat decent of a fighter, I guess. I don't know. People gave her a lot of credit for the Cyborg win, including me. I rewatched that fight. She just survived Cyborg for 3 rounds. It's not hard. You just move away like she did the entire fight. But whatever. People gave her a lot of credit. Fuck it, man. Felicia Spencer wins, goes to 8-1. The only good outcome is maybe Megan Anderson and Felicia Spencer win, which I think they will, and then they rematch each other for some kind of title shot against Amanda Nunes. Who knows? That's the only thing I could see happening. Either way, if it's Felicia Spencer and she wins, she'll be 8-1. If she then beats Megan Anderson again, she'll be 9-1. That's a pretty good contender to have at the featherweight division. I'm trying to see a silver lining here. You know, a positive twist. Joseph Benavidez, the flyweight title. I would say this is where things get interesting, but it's the flyweights. Versus Deiveson Figueiredo. Great fight. Deiveson Figueiredo is not the most worthy of opponents. He lost to Jussier Formiga, who Joseph Benavidez just beat to get his title shot, which doesn't look too good on record. However, Deiveson Figueiredo, listen, as much as people are going to shit on this, you couldn't ask for 2 better guys to have your flyweight world title. You couldn't. These are the 2 best guys in the division to have it. These are the 2 most entertaining flyweights. Joseph Benavidez and Deiveson Figueiredo. They're probably going to go out there and scrap. Benavidez has got the wrestling in his back pocket. I do feel like Benavidez is going to win this fight, but do not sleep on Deiveson Figueiredo. Both guys are a little bit past their prime. I know a lot of people are coming into this fight with some kind of knowledge of Benavidez maybe not being hungry anymore. To that, I counteract with Benavidez has never got the title. he's never been complacent. You know, he's been looking for this his entire life, and he's always been one fight away from getting it. If there's a man who's going to be as hungry as ever, it's going to be Joseph Benavidez as the ripe old age of 35. I can't speak today. Deiveson Figueiredo is a great opponent. 17-1. If he were to have the flyweight championship, it would be an amazing thing for the UFC. 18-1. Entertaining fighter, slings him, throws bombs, left, right, and center. Great performances. I love Deiveson Figueiredo, great finishes. He came off a submission in his last fight. Before that, he beat Alejandro Pantoja by decision. He's beaten the who's who of the division other than Formiga. Great opponent for Benavidez. I just feel like Benavidez has got more options. He's a little bit quicker as well. He throws combinations a little bit cleaner. Figueiredo likes to wait back and plant one bomb. Benavidez has got a good chin. I don't see him getting KO'd by Figueiredo. I feel like he rides shots a lot better with his old age. And he can put a pressure on Figueiredo that I feel like in a 5-round fight is only going to benefit Benavidez. When you're Figueiredo and you're the guy that throws the bombs rather than the combinations, you can't keep that up for 5 rounds. You just can't, and we saw that against Formiga. Formiga put a pressure on him, drove him into the cage, took him down a couple times, and by the time Figueiredo was in the third, he had no energy left to even find a KO punch. He was landing, but just didn't have that twist on it to put Formiga out cold. Benavidez is going to put that pressure on you, but do it way better, because for Benavidez, he's the man who put the pressure on Formiga and broke him. If Formiga's putting the pressure on you, Figueiredo, and breaking you, what's the guy who put pressure on Formiga going to do to you? Double up. Benavidez is going to win. I feel like he's still hungry. This is his one moment to get a big title around his waist before the end of his career. He's been this close multiple times, had a lot of title attempts, had a lot of losses just outside of title contention as well, obviously to Sergio Pettis. That was a little bit controversial. I thought he maybe could have won that fight, but either way, it was a split decision. Oh well, I'm going to go with Benavidez. Also, I think the UFC should want Benavidez to win, because you don't want a champion in Benavidez who has a cloud over his head of Henry Cejudo. You know, like, let's say, who lost to Henry Cejudo in the division? Let's say Sergio Pettis was still in the flyweight division, and he won the title, but Cejudo had a big dominant win over him. It looks bad on the whole division because it's all discredited. It's the problem that GSP leaves with his divisions. It takes a while for people to understand that this is our new champion, because they're always compared to the guy who beat them that's now no longer there, and he's the real champ, and you're just here. Like DC when Jones was gone. There's a problem. There's a complex. But with Benavidez, he beat Cejudo. Even though it was a long time ago in a different version of Cejudo, he doesn't have that looming cloud over his head like the rest of the division does. He can say, I'm the real champ. Guess why? Because I beat the last champ who's now too scared to come back down in the division and defend against me, which he can argue because Cejudo doesn't want to go back down to flyweight. I like it. Benavidez, great opportunity. I think he's going to seize it with both hands. And he's going to go, fucking Megan Olivier. Jesus Christ, she is a sort. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button there. Goodbye.